Okay, well, you guys voted. This is the video we're gonna watch. It's called "The Bizarre World of Fake Psychics." Faith healers and mediums. I also prefer larges myself. Anyway, it's by Super Eye Patch Wolf. That's an interesting name. Okay, let's go.
In 1806, the small town of Leeds in the United Kingdom was thrown into an apocalyptic frenzy when a chicken began to lay eggs inscribed with the words, "Christ is coming." Crowds would travel great distances to stare in awe and terror as the chicken laid these
Eggs make me want to come too. So.
prophetic words. Some saw it as a sign of salvation, others as the beginning of the end times.
Wow.
But
do people really fall for this that hard, or what? Because that's dumb. These people are kind of dumb. I'm just saying. How do you fall for that? You don't think it's just like a trick or a hoax?
Truth was a little less biblical, as it was discovered that the chicken's owner, Mary Bateman, also known as the Yorkshire Witch, was painting the eggs herself and reinserting them into the chicken.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. That's horrible.
Wow, what a ridiculous story, but in the 200 years since, it's one that's played out over and over and over. This woman can channel the spirits of dead Aztec warriors, this man can perform psychic surgery with just his bare hands, this man can vomit up interdimensional gemstones,
Wow.
and this man will call grandma a bitch.
No. Is your mom not nice?
Oh, my mother's the best.
Because I can't tell you what you want to hear. I can only tell you what they're showing me. And if he's calling your mother a bitch, I'm going to pass it on.
The details change, but the story is the same. A person claims to have supernatural powers and profits off the people who believe them. And believe it or not, that's actually a pretty lucrative industry. According to a recent Gallup...
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like really wrong that you would trick people like that, but then also it's kind of wrong to be trickable, right? Oh man, do I want to do... I want this one. So,
40% of people believe that humans can possess psychic abilities, despite this never being proven in the thousands of scientific studies carried out on it. And if you're one of those 40%, look, I get it, psychic powers would be rad, and I'm not going to say it's completely impossible for forces to exist that currently lie outside the perceptions of modern science, but I am saying that any case of this I have encountered are at best gross distortions of reality rooted in psychological manipulation, and at worst, some of the darkest things I've ever seen. And we'll get there, but first I want to ask, if there's really zero evidence in favor of the existence of psychics, then why do so many people believe in them?
Silly
For
goose.
me, that answer comes down to two simple principles.
Silly
And to
goosery.
talk about the first, let's look at one of the arguably less harmful psychic practices, astrology. Not to be confused with astronomy, which is just nice.
You know, I don't know. I really don't know. I think that I don't know, man. I don't know, because they're like part of me... Like, I mean, like, we could realistically speaking, like, God doesn't make any sense, right? Like, there's no objective proof in any capacity at all. There's no proof at all. I'm just letting you know. Okay. But, like, part of me still wants to believe, you know? And there's some events in my life that happened that I'm like, oh, like, how do you explain this? Like, it's so coincidental. You know, maybe I don't know, like, you hit a really low point and then, like, you hit a high point. And it's like, oh, look, or something. I don't know. It's hard to state, like, what I mean by that. But it just feels like sometimes something happens. I know it sounds so stupid and juvenile, but, you know, sometimes, I mean, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't know. I got gems. I got rocks, you know, and I have this Lego from Legoland, and it's Papa Gut. As you can see, I'll make the, you know, I know people are really interested in this more than anything else. You can see it has a gut. I gave him a gut. Funny enough, when you do this, you have to tell people your name, and then they yell it out loud. And I wanted to say Papa Gut. It's like a silly little thing. So the guy had to yell out Papa Gut, and I really didn't want him to do that. But it's hard to see, but, like, he's got a belly. And that doesn't have any spiritual nature to it, but it's cute. And then this is my wife's. I gotta block the name, but it's Mama Gut. You like that? How you like that? So it's cool stuff. Let's go.
Old people staring at the sky. Astrology is the practice of looking at trillion-mile away cosmic bodies and reading our future from them. The most popular form.
Oh, happy birthday, Megan! You like my deepfake take? Thank you. I appreciate that.
Form of which is horoscopes. Again, putting aside just how many times
Spooky
astrology has been
scopes.
disproved, maybe you've had the experience of reading your own daily horoscope and thinking, I do like it when my home is clean. Maybe I will consult a spiritual advisor now.
True,
I'm being a bit here,
based.
but the phenomenon of people finding horoscopes weirdly relatable is very common, and the reason for this
Well,
is
yeah, they're so obscure. I forgot what the name is for it, but like they're so obscure that like it's hard not to find it common. You know, it's like feel good pieces. You know what I mean?
isn't cosmic, it's psychological, and it's called the Barnum effect.
There you go.
In 1949, a study took place in the University of California where a student was asked to answer a series of questions. Their answers used to build a personality profile. That student then asked to rate their personality profile on a scale of 1 to 5 for accuracy, and the student, impressed with how insightful the profile was, awarded it a 5, only to discover that the same identical personality profile had been given to each of their 39 classmates, nearly all of whom had rated the profile as highly accurate specifically to them, with an average rating of 4.2 and only 5 students out of 39 giving it lower than a 4, when in fact the actual text was just pulled from a local horoscope. The study's been replicated many times, the conclusion being that people will believe very general statements as genuine descriptors of themselves as long as those statements are positive in nature.
Yeah, that makes sense. How funny is that though? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's also, people are able, it's also because it's vague enough. People can assign like vagueness to themselves. You know, you can try to like pull like interpretation or meaning from anything. But yeah, but if it is positive, oh yeah, oh I have a huge cock. Fuck, I knew it. You know, that's how my horoscope always says that. If I'm not coping.
Exact kind of statements that horoscopes are built from. For what it's worth, I think this kind of astrology, as long as you're not paying for it, is mostly harmless. I mean, it's not like the president of America.
I feel you, Papa. I'm a Christian, probably the only one in the chat, and I can't really explain the specific time in my life where a miracle happened. Well, I doubt you're the only person named Christian and watching me. So.
Be using it to make major decisions or anything. Oh my god! But it does demonstrate the first principle in why psychics are so successful, the reinforcement of desired beliefs. But it's only when we take this and combine it with the second principle that psychics become really powerful. Or I guess I should say, convincing.
Ah, hello traveler. My name is David Tomorrow and welcome
This guy looks like the gay guy from Will and Grace.
to my
Handsome
psychic
man.
corner. Now, a lot of regular humans, or terrestrials as I call them, fear and even doubt my abilities. And so, let's say we begin with a simple demonstration. I would like for you to pick a number between 1 and 100, but just so I can get a read on your
I already got it, it's
mental
5.
thought matrix, let's add a few conditions. Let's say that the number has to have 2 digits, neither of those digits
55.
can be the same, and
56.
let's say it has to be an odd number.
57.
Okay. Have you got it?
Okay.
Okay. I will now reach across the beyond and read that number directly from your mind.
All right.
Yes. Yes, I can see it. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Was your number
Don't say it.
37?
No, dick.
Okay, here's what's happening here. Some of you picked 37 and some of you did not.
I
but
didn't.
all this is a simple trick of probability. It might sound like I'm picking from a large pool of numbers, but it's a lot less so when we apply our 3 conditions. And out of the pool of remaining numbers, people have a psychological bias to choose 37, the second most common being 35. And I couldn't find a satisfactory answer as to why this happens. I've just seen it referenced and recreated enough to know that it does. But if we wanted to make this even more convincing, all we'd have to do is go out into the street, which was the plan for this video before the world ended, and film this trick with random passersby. And say I try this on 20 people. If it only works a quarter of the time, I can just edit together those 5 successful
true.
reactions, and boom, I now have a
I mean, that's just the fundamental problem with these types of like on the street videos. Everybody's like, oh, they're so insightful, but it's so easy to get the answer you want. You know, all you have to do is like go out there for hours and then you get the answers you want and you can make whatever group look bad. That's why like I don't think on the street videos are like the most profound videos. Because it's like easy to just do whatever and kind of fake everything.
convincing showreel of my genuine psychic ability. Okay, now let's take that concept even further.
Ah, I see there's still some disbelievers among you. That's quite all right.
there's some
Perhaps a
among
more
us.
extreme demonstration is in order. For you see, now I will reach across the planes of space and time and communicate with you directly.
Okay.
I'm seeing a city by the sea. Ah, yes, Wisconsin, in the United States of America.
Okay.
I see a young man surrounded by small mechanical boxes, cameras. Yes, this young man sells cameras. And his name,
Cameras.
Ryan. Ryan M. Yes, that's right, Ryan. I'm communicating with you directly. I hope you and Alyssa are doing well.
Whoa!
That your little cat is living life to its
come on.
fullest. Stay well, my friend. The world is full of so many beautiful, unknowable things.
Okay, that probably seemed really, really silly to 99% of you, and it
Yeah,
was.
it was.
But maybe a little less so if you're the real-life Ryan M, who
Whoa, he follows you. And that's a cute little fan thing. That was silly.
may have just had the most surreal experience of his entire life. I'm sorry, Ryan, I hope that wasn't too weird. Who I know is a real person because they recently followed me on Twitter. A brief scan of their timeline giving me all the information I needed to paint an accurate portrait of them.
I get what he's getting into. Like, that's what a lot of these psychics will do. They'll when you go into like their room, they'll have somebody vet you and ask you a bunch of like they'll figure out like what questions you want to ask and whatnot. A lot of like people like those crazy like faith healer bullshitters are part of that too. But they like kind of screen you as you go in. Like they'll have random people in the audience just like talk to you and you won't even realize that they work for them. They'll just dig up information. You can even use Google too. So
Sounds stupid? It is, but it's a trick so common it has a name. Hot reading, which we'll get back to
that was
later,
kinda
but
hot,
for now,
yeah.
what I want to focus on is how all this information was delivered. If you want to understand psychics, what's important isn't the information they give you directly, but the information they leave out. What made our first trick believable was the omission of how small a pool of numbers we were actually picking from, as well as the knowledge that people have a tendency to choose 37. And in the second case, it was the omission of the fact that I was using Ryan M's social media profile to create an accurate portrait of him. And this is the second principle of making people believe you're psychic, the obfuscation of information. And when these two principles are combined, it can create an effect so powerful that even hundreds of years after your death, people will remember you for your incredible supernatural abilities. Nostradamus was a 15th century French astrologer who people still talk about to this day due to his astounding power in prophesizing historical events that actually came to be. The French Revolution, the rise of Hitler, the assassination of JFK, and even the terrorist attack of September 11th, of which he wrote, "Two steel birds will fall from the sky on the metropolis. The sky will burn at 45 degrees latitude.
so big.
Fire approaches the great new city. Immediately, a huge scattered flame leaps up. Within months, rivers will flow with blood." It's hard to read these words and not be a little shook by the chilling accuracy of Nostradamus.
I took English class. so.
not real. This is how the believers of Nostradamus like to retroactively frame his writing. But in actual fact, what we're looking at here is several lines from different predictions spliced together. The actual prediction he made that people do associate with 9/11 being earth-shaking fire from the center of the earth will cause tremors around the new city. Two great rocks will war for a long time. Then Arethusa will redden a new river. It's still kind of accurate, right?
No.
Okay, let's
don't
look
think
at the
so.
actual solid information here. You have fire, a new city, or at least a city with new in the name. And
Oh,
the
New York!
two. That's it. So maybe it's referring to 9/11, or maybe it's referring to the 1835 Great Fire of New York
Maybe it's referring to the piss I had last night because my fucking burning like a motherfucker.
City in which two people died. It fits both because while Nostradamus' predictions were beautifully written, they were incredibly vague, to the point that they didn't even have specific dates attached to them. And do you know how many he actually wrote? 942, and that's just in his
Damn.
book Les Prophéties alone. So, okay, think about this. If we made
Well,
nearly 1,000
if I made 1,000 predictions, I mean, I imagine some of them would come true, right? Make a prediction all over the place. Like, what's a good prediction for me to make? Hassan will do gay porn, right? And then I can make 1,000 other ones, you know?
and
Of
predictions
course.
about a bunch of things that
only
might
hope, am I
happen in
right?
the next 500 years, and some went on to kind of resemble future events. That's not a prediction, that's a statistical inevitability and ignores how many of Nostradamus' prophecies never happened. I'm just saying we have yet to encounter a great and terrifying Sky King. And
Wow.
Nostradamus wasn't even that good at astrology.
The nuclear bombs.
Other mid-century French astrologers used to talk shit about him for being bad at astrology. Nostradamus, more like Nostradamus.
Oh,
The
got
best
him.
joke I'd ever make wasted on a 500-year-old dead star wizard. So if even a dum-dum like me can pick apart Nostradamus' prophecies, why are they so believed? Well, what I think it comes back to is our two principles. It's possible to frame his predictions as accurate as long as you leave out how vague they actually were, the fact that they were undated, and the sheer number of them he made. And as for why people would want to believe them, well, I think this comes back to something much deeper. In nearly every case of claimed psychic abilities I've seen, it always comes with the promise of giving relief from one of humanity's two great fears. The first being death, which we'll come back to later, and the second being the future. His predictions let people believe that there was some knowable order to the sheer rampant chaos of everything that will happen and everything that might happen. The future is terrifying, constantly, and Nostradamus gave people the illusion that it could be known and understood. And it's powerful promises like that that make just about anyone vulnerable to belief in the supernatural. And I really mean anyone. Even the US military.
Oh shit.
In the late 60s, a piece of footage aired.
Isn't that the men who stare at goats? Isn't that like wasn't that video based on the military's like, oh fuck, damn. The military's like they thought that psychics were real in some capacity? I'm pretty sure that's real. I watched that movie. It was pretty decent too. So
on Russian television that terrified high-ranking US officials. A Russian woman moving objects across a table with just her mind.
Oh, and
the reason this was so frightening is that at this point, America and Russia were locked in the Cold War, a conflict carried out primarily through espionage and information. And if Russia was actually tapping into some latent psychic force, America needed to do the same. And this was the beginning of Project Stargate, a covert government-funded operation in which the US military spent 20 years trying to create psychic super soldiers. If you've never heard of this, I know how insane it sounds, but it's all backed up by official government documents released in 1995, as well as the reporting.
I mean, listen, unless you did the research on it, I guess you really would never know, huh? So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense to do the research, no? You know, kind of based.
Journalist John Ronson. Test subjects would sit alone in isolated rooms where they would attempt to telepathically read images from the minds of other isolated subjects and draw the images they saw in a practice.
Well, that's a bird.
Viewing. They train in psychic-based martial arts designed to disrupt and confuse enemies with no physical contact. They'd reportedly ram themselves into walls repeatedly in an attempt to phase through them, and would even infamously spend hours every day performing psychic attacks on goats in an attempt to make their hearts explode. The really weird part being that there's a number of ex-military personnel who claim they were successful, that they had witnessed instances of intense psychic effort leading to goats and other small animals dropping dead from non-physical attacks.
Hey, maybe.
However, this has never been confirmed by any kind of documentation or replicated in any kind of scientific study. Project Stargate was shut down in the mid-90s after the...
Maybe they just had PTSD and that's what they thought that they were seeing, you know? Who knows? But I watched that movie. George Clooney was in it. It's pretty good. Did I mention that already? I don't know. I'm old. I mentioned the same thing over and over again.
Overwhelming majority of experiments were deemed unsuccessful, finding little to no evidence of any paranormal ability whatsoever, having cost the US taxpayer an estimated $20 million, which would be closer to $100 million by today's standards, and stands as such an odd piece of historical lunacy, but a little less so when you look at the position the US military was in. While fear of Russia was definitely part of it, the 1970s also saw America pull out of the Vietnam War, a massively costly conflict that saw the death of 50,000 US soldiers, as well as many, many times that in Vietnamese civilians, traumatizing a generation and receiving massive public backlash, ending in a disastrous, costly humiliation for the US military. And the concept of psychic super soldiers, operatives that could obtain enemy information without ever stepping foot on the battlefield or disable enemy forces without direct conflict, that could change the face of war, save the lives of thousands, and potentially lead to more peaceful solutions to conflict.
I mean, that makes sense.
And that was a desire.
It makes sense. It's still fucking preposterous, though. That's the problem. It's still crazy that people thought they could do that.
So strong, all it took was a Russian lady performing simple parlor tricks for the US military to believe it.
What's
and
the parlor trick?
Promises just like this that would let a new breed of celebrity psychic gather infamy across the world. The biggest emerging directly from Project Stargate, and his name was Uri Geller. Uri Geller first rose to prominence when, in a test carried out by the Stanford Research Institute, scientists concluded not only did he have the ability to telepathically read images from the minds of other people, but also to physically manipulate metal with his mind.
Oh, I'm gonna come.
The footage of Geller doing this was staggering. Genuine displays of psychic abilities played in front of millions of people. Every daytime talk show, every news segment wanted Geller, transforming him into a bona fide pop culture phenomenon. And it was all backed by real scientific evidence. Even even the CIA conducted a study on Geller in which they concluded he
Bro, we used to
demonstrated
be
his
so fucking
paranormal
dumb.
perceptual abilities in a convincing, unambiguous manner. At one point, Geller even went on live American television and unleashed a psychic blast across the country,
Damn.
only for the show to receive dozens of phone calls from people reporting strange psychic occurrences. TV
Bro, it's so weird because it's like hysterical. That's all this is. It's just being hysterical. Like, I don't know. It's just like this whole hive mind. Like, everybody's believing this thing. Or not even everybody. Like, 5 people. Barely anybody believed it. But it's enough people to believe it to make it seem like it's actually happening. This is just unhinged, weird behavior. It's crazy. I'm like fucking... Much people will believe like fucking weird shit like this. That's fucking bizarre as hell, bro. Oh my god, this is fucking such a hard fight.
sets would flicker and warp, and animals would react in strange ways.
Oh,
it was
shit.
nearly impossible not to buy into the fervor surrounding
DJ
Geller. Not
Nocturnal,
only did he feel
Devilish Face, Super Shattered $2, Sovngarde Records, Mage, Abolish Human Rights.
What the fuck are you saying, my brother in Christ? Thank you.
beautifully into the popular movement of 70s New Age spiritualism, here was a man that was proof that humans could be more than human, that inside every one of us lay massive amounts of untapped potential. And it was such an amazing concept, and one that Geller grew very, very rich off. And as he
Hey,
did,
get it.
waves of other
Get your
psychics
bag,
entered
baby.
public consciousness,
Get
all
your
taking
bag,
what had once
doggy.
been small town acts to a now national level. Faith healers like Peter Popoff would cram thousands
Peter
of
Popoff,
feverish believers
popping
into
off, baby.
gigantic megatents. God provided Popoff with the details about his followers' personal lives, where they lived, their relatives, and even the diseases that plagued their bodies, giving Popoff the power to burn cancer from the sick and let the wheelchair-bound walk again, bathing his audiences in the healing light of God, all proof that the spiritual could overcome
See, guys, it's
the
all in your
physical.
mind.
And it was such a
This is where like the Andrew Tates of the world come from, because they believe in like faith healing. They're like, see, this guy could walk after he just believed he could walk. That means that it's all fake. Everything's in your head. Okay, it's fucking crazy.
beautiful idea. It was just a lie. And the person who would expose this came not in the form of a scientist, but a magician. And his name was the amazing Randy. The thing that Randy
Randy,
was
you
most keen to
asshole.
point out is that scientists were just as susceptible to the tricks of psychics as regular people. And so if you wanted to catch them, you needed experts in the psychology of stage magic and sleight of hand, which Randy
Well,
very
this-
much was. He actually ran away to join the circus as a child before becoming a noted escape magician,
Hey.
but in his later years became known in magical circles as the
He escaped his house. Now he's just gonna escape a bunch of other shit. But I guess that does kind of make sense that you have to have a fucking magician to like expose what is basically a magician's trick, which I don't even get it. I don't get how these magicians do this crazy magic, but I don't really want to know. You know it's fake and it's cool, but you don't want to know how it's fake, because it's just too cool, bro. Oh, this power's lame as hell, dude. I'm just fucking on a skateboard. Like, oh wow, so cool, Jesus.
psychic hitman, as he'd host TV specials where he would bring supposed psychics on stage and kneecap them in front of live audiences.
Damn. Wait, I remember
exposing
this
their tricks
guy.
and revealing
Oh, and I've actually seen videos of this guy on like fucking TikTok and shit. Like he embarrasses the fuck. There was one guy who said he can move pages with his mind, but he was actually just like blowing it. So they put powder down or something, or wood chips, and so the guy couldn't do anything.
them as frauds.
Oh,
There was
that's
a definite
fucking funny.
schadenfreude to watching psychics struggle to explain why their abilities no longer worked.
It seems something went a bit wrong this time. What explanation could there be, James?
Well, it's quite possible that this has been the first time that I've ever attempted this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite possible that I've allowed myself to come into it, okay?
But this is what let Randy gain notoriety and set his sights on even bigger targets, one of whom was Peter Popoff. While Popoff
Peter
claimed his abilities
Popoff.
were divine, a sting operation conducted by Randy revealed that the voice speaking to him was not God, but his wife, who would relay people's information from prayer cards they'd fill out before the show, transmitting the
Damn.
information to Popoff through a small radio receiver.
Did he prove it
in his ear,
wrong?
All
Oh,
of
I feel
which
like I
Randy
saw this.
exposed on live television.
Wait, didn't they go and like hone into the radio frequency tour? How do you that's crazy. It's crazy that like that seems so obvious now, but like back then that was a big deal. Did not like knowing this kind of shit was a big deal back then. So this guy did like a fucking crazy thing by exposing this. It's just nuts, bro. Holy garbanzo beans.
Talking to you. Can you hear me? If you can't, you're in trouble. Be right there on your right side. Okay, she lives at 4267 Masterson.
4267 Masterson, I can see the angels of God all around your house.
The healing effects of Popoff's
shit.
sermons being nothing more than the adrenaline rush he'd create with his charisma and showmanship.
Well,
His
hey, God
divine
bless, I guess.
healing fading once the show was over and the adrenaline wore off. However, Randy had an even bigger target in mind, and it was Uri Geller. One by one, Randy would recreate each of Geller's tricks with sleight of hand and perform them on live television, even following Geller across the country. Geller would appear on a talk show, stunning hosts with his psychic power, and Randy would appear on the same show the next week, exposing exactly how he did it.
Oh my god. Dude, what a fucking goblin. Holy shit. I love this guy.
Recreating Geller's psychic blast across America by doing the
Holy
same
fuck.
through a radio DJ who made no claim of being psychic, only for dozens of people calling in with the same reports of psychic phenomena. The trick being that if you send a psychic blast out to hundreds of thousands of people, at least a few of them are going to by sheer coincidence notice something odd and conflate it with psychic power. Randy and Geller hated each other. Geller accusing Randy of trying to destroy his career and even sued him multiple times, all of which were unsuccessful. And Randy even once stated, "I want to be cremated and I want my ashes blown into Uri Geller's eyes." The apex of the battle between the magician and the psychic came, however, when Geller made an appearance.
Bro, that would sounds like kind of a cool title to a movie. The Magician and the Psychic. Kind of cool, honestly. Somebody should make that.
On the Johnny Carson show, in which Carson, unbeknownst to Geller, had received instructions from Randy on how to prepare the props for Uri's tricks, and to not let Geller or his people near them before the show. And the results were, well...
All right, we are back. Uri was telling me you don't feel, what, strong tonight?
I don't
Is that...
feel strong.
Yeah, we have 3 empty canisters there, and we have 7 over here.
And a bent spoon.
And a spoon that's got a slight bend in it.
Geller was humiliated, but
Damn.
if he was a fraud, how was he able to fool the CIA? Well, the interesting part there is that if you do read the government study, it does all sound pretty impressive until you get to the line, "Good results were obtained in the 4 days where there was no openly skeptical observer." That's not how science works. And so both Geller and Popoff...
Oh yeah, but if you're too skeptical, then you have a bias, guys. So only take the guys that are absolutely not skeptical at all, because there's no bias there. Am I right? That's crazy. That means that there's some weird spiritual people that were fucking doing the research. That's crazy.
Publicly disgraced, disappeared into obscurity, never to make a single cent more from their fraudulent psychic abilities.
Damn.
Only that's not what happened at all. Both men would continue to make massive amounts of money. Popoff just shifted his act to sell his blessed healing holy water for thousands of dollars.
Stop settling on less and reach for God's best. God is a God of more, and now there's
God
more
of War
spring water in a new, larger package.
And Uri would go on to make many interesting business ventures and would eventually claim that he wished to be known as a mystifier as opposed to a psychic, but still constantly reinforces the idea that he has supernatural powers to this day, including, and I am not making this up, writing a letter to Theresa May claiming he would psychically stop Brexit, containing the very normal sentence, "3 years before you became Prime Minister, I predicted your victory when I showed you Winston Churchill's spoon on my Cadillac, which I asked you to touch." What are we doing here?
Smart.
Randy, meanwhile, would go on to offer a $1 million cash prize to anyone who could prove they had legitimate psychic power, of which hundreds of people applied and none were successful. Randy continued his fight to disprove psychics and expose frauds for the rest of his career. And the thing was, people hated him for it. He was seen as this cold, vindictive, scientific entity, attacking innocent spiritualists and pushing back on a movement that was ultimately harmless.
No, you say Uri Geller's a fake. You came here and you're giving everybody a lot of lip service, and you haven't done anything except show us a lot of tricks that you learned, and you're too bad that you're not working.
Oh, yeah, got him.
We're going for a commercial break, and you can
And this brings us to a really important question.
That's how we know he's the real fucking man. Bro, isn't that crazy? He's proving people wrong and he still gets haters, dude. It's crazy. That's fucked up, man. I stand with him.
Is there actual danger in people claiming to be psychic?
Sylvia I don't know. I mean, he might show us that. I don't know. Some people probably think that they're psychic because they have like good intuition or something, but I don't know. I mean, it gives you false hope, but is like false hope like necessarily a bad thing? I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, the area where it would get bad is if they're like, don't do anything and the cancer will go away. You know, that's probably not good. So, but overall, probably doesn't really matter.
Brown rose to fame in the late 80s. She'd appear on daytime talk shows demonstrating her ability to channel the dead, those spirits giving her visions of the future, letting her instantaneously diagnose people's medical conditions, and most infamously, allow her to help locate missing and dead people.
Oh, there you go.
Something
That's
she
not
was
good.
very, very bad at.
I lost my boyfriend tragically a few years ago. I never found him. And I've had such a hard time since. Every day.
The reason why you didn't find him is because he's in water. You can't find somebody.
Well, it was September 11th. There was no. He was a fireman, but.
Well, no. See, I keep seeing him in water. It says he couldn't breathe and he was filled with water. Well, if they were trying to put the fire out, come on, town. They could have, you know.
Damn. That's like when I pause the video too soon, and I say something, and then like 2 seconds later, it's proved wrong. That's what she just did. I lost him. Well, that's why you can't find him. He's in the water. It's like, no, I didn't like literally lose him. Just fucking in the water. Like, I mean, excuse me. He died in fucking 9/11. No. He was in water. Listen, if there was water in 9/11, I don't know if it would have happened. I'm not trying to be inconsiderate, but you know.
Yeah.
What Sylvia is trying to do here is a technique known as cold reading, a trick mediums use to convince people they're actually talking to dead people and accessing information they never otherwise could have. When in reality, what they're actually doing is leading with a very general statement that has a high likelihood of being true, particularly in a room full of people.
And there's some type of restriction, and then he just tells me that he died suddenly.
I am being pulled into the section. Somebody passed in a car accident.
I want to say there's either a Suzanne or a Susie connection to this.
Starting with a gentleman, Reg, and he's also mentioned Frank.
And then when someone bites, honing in on details with precise manipulative wording. So for example, you could say, your father didn't have an interest in cars, did he? This is a good bet because most men of a certain age and generation like cars. And so if the answer is yes, hey, you were right. But if the answer is no, you were also right because you already planted a negative in the original statement. And now you can just option select.
That's clever. He didn't have a. Oh shit! I just farted when he said that. That's interesting.
So
you say, oh, he didn't have this affinity, right? And you're like, no, he did. Oh, see, I kind of like you kind of win either way. Wait, that's fucking genius. I'm a psychic. I'm gonna be a psychic now. I'm gonna do a psychic reading one day. I'm gonna do a Discord psychic reading. I think because I think I could do it. I think I could be the next grifter. I should do that.
I think so. And move on to your next gamble unscathed. Cold reading can be incredibly convincing when done right, but when it's done wrong.
Sylvia, I don't know how she died. Please, if you can, how did she die? She was shot.
Damn.
She just collapsed in her room. I don't know, but something looked like combustion. They found nothing on the autopsy. I don't care, but it looks like something hit her in the chest.
How'd she die? She was shot. Damn. Wow.
The reason I'm focusing on Sylvia isn't just because she was bad at cold reading, it's because despite the fact she was so bad at it, she was still massively successful. She charged $750 for a 30-minute psychic phone reading. She released 57 books, one of which was about what dead celebrities were doing in the afterlife, and even had people pay thousands of dollars to join her on psychic cruises. That is how easy it is to succeed in this business. But where this goes from shameful to truly abhorrent is her work in finding missing persons. At multiple points, she's predicted a missing child to be alive, giving the parents hope, only for that child to be found dead.
That's fucked up.
She's not dead, but for some reason she was taken and put into some kind of slavery thing.
Damn.
And taken into Japan.
4 years later, the little girl's remains were found near Fort Worth, Texas. An autopsy showed she was killed shortly after vanishing.
She's given tips on missing children's cases that led nowhere and diverted attention away.
That's just the Matrix trying to put her down.
From the actual investigation.
Case in point, just listen to what Sylvia Brown told Sean Hornbeck's parents about their son's kidnapper nearly 4 years ago on the Montel Williams show.
The guy was dark-skinned. Is he still with us?
Thankfully, Sean Hornbeck was found last week alive and well. His alleged abductor, Michael Devlin, is not Hispanic, and he didn't have dreadlocks at the time of the abduction.
And she even once told a mother that her missing daughter was dead, only for that daughter to be found 6 years later alive.
Jesus.
Victim of kidnapping. The mind-melting tragedy being that by this point, the girl's mother had died, never to learn her daughter was still alive.
What the fuck? Oh my god, dude. What the fuck, man? I mean, I feel bad for these people, but you're really gonna believe this like a random woman saying dumbass shit? Like, you know, it's kind of ridiculous.
This woman is a ghoul, a vulture of misery, but for as awful as she was, she's not alone. There's a bizarre trend in missing persons cases, particularly with children, where dozens of psychics descend on the victim's family, all offering different readings on how they can find their child.
I think Atozi's getting sued right now because of like a TikTok, because he like proved the TikTok psychic wrong or whatever about like some other case. Isn't that shit fucking crazy? These people are goblins, bro. Little goober poobers.
Or even more grimly, communicate with them in the afterlife. I've read multiple cases where people, so desperate to be reunited with their deceased loved ones, have paid psychics hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Damn.
And I get it, it's easy to victim blame here, to ask how anyone could be so gullible as to fall for this.
That's true.
But according to Bob Nygaard, a private investigator who works exclusively in psychic fraud, the one reoccurring characteristic of his clients is deep personal trauma. These are people who have had their lives destroyed by sickness, by abuse, by loss, damaged, vulnerable people who want to believe that death isn't the end, that they could still have one more moment with the person they loved.
That's it.
And I can't blame them for that, but I can absolutely blame the parasites who prey on them. There's another deeper, arguably more troubling layer to all this, and that's when supernatural fantasies become so strong they start to inflict physical damage on people. Take, for example, the Breatharians, a spiritual movement that insists that humans do not need food to survive, but can instead draw their nutrition from the energy of the sun and universe.
Makes perfect sense.
Now, other YouTubers have...
That's what we call photosynthesis, by the way. That's all it is. Photosynthesis.
Come under attack for not presenting a balanced view of Breatharianism, so allow me to list some of the positive points. Your grocery bill will go down. You will meet some interesting people.
You'll die.
Will lose weight. Some folk say it feels nice. Now, it has killed several people. I actually wasn't planning on touching...
Bro, there's no way that I'd be able to even sustain this diet. But, you know, if you don't eat for long enough, then you can't, like, eat. You have to, like, fucking, like, have a soup diet for, like, weeks or something. It's so weird. Life is strange. Life is strange.
In this video, mainly because my buddy Atrocity Guide had already done a great breakdown of it, until her video was taken down by noted Breatharian Peter Straubinger, and... Oh, you shouldn't have done that, Peter, because now you're in this video and a lot more people are going to see that you're attempting to control a narrative you have no business controlling. By the way, go support Atrocity Guide. She makes fantastic stuff, and she didn't deserve to have her video taken down. By now, I hope it's becoming apparent that the real danger of a lot of this stuff is it becomes a means to believe, well, whatever you want, but the price is a disassociation with reality, and at worst, can trap people in a delusion so strong, even human life becomes meaningless. On the 14th of November 1996, noted UFO expert Dr. Courtney Brown called into the Art Bell radio.
The fuck is a UFO expert? Like, well, I guess UFOs aren't always alien-esque, right? Like, it's like an unidentified flying object. Still, what the hell the fuck is that, you know?
Show, an associate of Brown's having captured a photo of the Halley-Bopp comet, only to find a large glowing object traveling beside it. And through intensive psychic remote viewing sessions, Brown and his students had discovered the object was mechanical in nature, was on a trajectory to pass by Earth, and was attempting to communicate with us.
That the thing was both fast and spurting. Interesting, because all of the comet coming out. And it was funnel-shaped, spread out and billowing.
Funnel cake?
Great.
I love it.
He also figured out in the emotions column of the Matrix, the emotions of dread, concentration, fear.
This broadcast was heard by millions, Art Bell's website crashing from the legions of ecstatic and terrified people convinced that humanity's first genuine encounter with an extraterrestrial was at hand. On the evening of the comet, 39 people entered a small diner in San Diego, all with the same cropped hairstyle and all ordered the same identical meal.
This is what we call the first non-binaries. They're fucking aliens, guys. We figured it out, and I fucking knew it all along. Non-binary people are fucking aliens. Holy shit. Wow. We really figured it out.
Iced tea, salad, turkey, and blueberry cheesecake.
Wow.
That night, all 39 were found dead, having committed suicide as part of
Goobfaz super chatted $2.02.
Wow,
WEZER.
Thank you. Also, damn, that's sad. That's sad.
All convinced that by leaving their mortal bodies, their souls could board the spacecraft flying alongside the comet and ascend past humanhood. When the comet did pass, there was no sighting of any kind of object beside it. And still,
well,
somehow,
maybe they're on the planet.
It's
the thing, you know. Maybe they went on it. It was a
Psychics
UFO.
and faith healers have a dangerous habit of advocating for their own supernatural healing as a replacement for legitimate medicine.
Yeah,
the sickness that your husband has is not cancer. It's something on a spiritual level that has been sent towards him.
If you got pills.
Well, cancer is an astrology sign, so it could still be cancer and be spiritual, just so you know.
As an act of faith, I want you just to throw them out the aisles. Those of you up in the balcony, just throw them over the side. Amen.
If you want to know how destructive this can be, I'm going to read out a list of names. Mary Welch, Austin Sprout, Madeline Newman, Neil Beagley.
Come on, dude. How did I get hit by that, you
Ava
fucking
Worthington,
bitch?
Rocky Sevi, David Hickman.
Bro, are you shitting my tits right now?
These are the names of children who died from simple preventable diseases because their parents chose to treat things like appendicitis and bladder infections with spiritual healing as opposed to traditional medicine. And this list is not even close to being complete. There's a religious faith healing group called the Followers of Christ Church, which some of the names here are from, and their graveyard is littered with the headstones of children ranging from 1 day to 1 week old, with an infant mortality rate of 10 times what's normal. And I don't know what's more horrifying, that there are places like Idaho that to this day protect this kind of faith healing under law, or how the parents of some of these children try and justify what they've done.
I would like to remind you that this country was founded on religious freedom. Whenever you try to restrict one person or another in any fashion, then you're chipping away at freedom.
My Bible, my Jesus Christ tells me to put my faith and trust in him. I don't put limitations on God.
It's hard for me not.
Bro, when you look at shit like this, like, I'm not trying to be an asshole because, you know, I can respect God and all that, but holy fuck, like, holy shit, bro. Like, how do you not feel like the biggest, dumbest fucking idiot in the world? Like, I don't know, man. Oh, my, should I get my fucking... I feel like a big dumb idiot. I'm getting my ass fucking pushed. Jesus fucking tits.
To look at this footage and not think of the line from James Randi's book, "When reason sleeps, monsters come forth." Randi knew the danger that lay in dragging people into the delusional world of the supernatural, and he spent his entire life trying to warn us. James Randi passed away last year, and we lost a real hero.
This guy.
But part of that tragedy is that we need him now more than we ever have, because this stuff isn't getting better, it's getting worse. Despite everything we've talked about, all the debunking, all the exposed scams, the measurable loss of human life, psychics have never been more popular. The psychic industry currently estimated at $2.3 billion at a growth rate of 53% since 2005. The pandemic leaving people...
It's crazy that, like, all you have to do to be a psychic is to lie to people, and yet fuckboys still don't have jobs. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, dude? Get a job, fuckboy. Oh, I'm gonna fucking do my... Bro, stop attacking me. I'm your son. Oh,
isolated and vulnerable, only spiking those numbers. And driving this growth is the rise of a new breed of celebrity psychic. Remember that guy who called grandma a bitch at the beginning of this video? This clown is John Edwards, and he isn't some back alley psychic. He regularly appears on daytime talk shows in front of millions of people. He even had his own show that ran for years, and this is not uncommon. In 2019, the New York Times ran an article in which supposed psychic Thomas John was exposed for hot reading at a live event. That's right, the same stupid bullshit I pulled earlier in this video. Only the information he was using came from fabricated Facebook posts that were planted by a group trying to catch him.
Maria. Do you know who that is? Because he's Maria. Now, I don't want to scare you, but have you had your heart checked? So your dog is here. Must be your dog, because there's a dog.
This was called Operation Pizza Roll, and
that's actually very funny.
Did it destroy Thomas John's career? No, within a year he had his own TV show called Seatbelt Psychic, which was promoted by massive celebrities like James fucking Corden, who peddled this garbage to their 26 million...
Damn. See, like, if you said that James Corden did that kind of shit, like, I would have been more on board with, like, how fucking stupid he was. But you guys always talk about how he's mean to a waitress. Like, of course, me too, all day. No, just kidding, I don't do that. Unless they're mean first. I said, you know who I am? You know who the fuck I am? Nobody does anymore. Did you know I used to be big on TikTok? I'm just kidding.
In YouTube followers, and who knows how many more in national TV audience. This is a huge part of why this stuff is so hard to end, because the media constantly reintroduces it back into the news cycle for the simple reason that we found a real psychic is always going to make a more compelling headline than psychics still aren't real. The same way Sylvia Browne got her claws into America in the 80s, modern psychics are being promoted in an identical fashion. Teresa Capito, Matt Frazier, Alison Dubois, Cara Margolis, I could go on, but I don't want to. These people are still shoving their hands up the asses of chickens, and we're applauding them. But now there's an even more dangerous evolution of
people
this.
Yell at me when I do
a new kind of celebrity psychic, but ones with the backing of gigantic multinational media corporations. If you want to see this, look no further than Tyler Henry.
Tyler won.
With an estimated net worth of $1.7 million, Tyler Henry rose to prominence with his ongoing 4-season smash hit TV show, Hollywood Medium with Tyler Henry, in which he performs psychic readings for celebrities like the Kardashians, LaToya Jackson, Megan Fox, Boy George, Bella Thorne. The most popular clips of him doing this gathering as many as 10 million views. And his readings are convincing, especially if you ignore how much they resemble both cold and hot reading, as well as the fact that he's doing this with celebrities whose personal information and family history is publicly available. But again, just ask yourself, what is the information we're not seeing here? This guy is surrounded by a gigantic entertainment conglomerate in the E! Network, who has a financial incentive to make him appear as legitimate as possible, especially when most of the celebrities he's reading for are part of that same network. So if he wanted access to the personal information of someone, he has means to get it. And because of the highly edited nature of these episodes, we're never going to see when he gets something wrong. So which sounds more reasonable? Everything I just said, or that this 25-year-old is actually talking to ghosts and is the one exception to everything human?
How come all the psychics are white? That's my question. How come every single one of them are fucking is white? I don't really get that.
Humanity has ever recorded about the observable universe. And even then, he does occasionally slip, like at a press conference in 2016 when he was asked about Trump's future in the 2016 election, in which he gave a non-committal, "I've been watching him and I'm not worried." Maybe you should have worried a little, Tyler. He's also stated that he would be open to working with the police on missing persons cases. Tyler, do not do that. And Tyler, if you are watching this, and I get the feeling you will because I think you're the kind of person who Googles your own name, I don't care if you believe you're psychic. I don't care if you believe you're doing good. I care that you are promoting an industry that has destroyed lives and manipulated millions, and you and every other psychic who profits off their supposed abilities without proving it under any kind of legitimate scientific testing should be so deeply ashamed. This brings us to the final frontier for psychics, and one that has the potential to do more damage
I'm upset for losing that.
than any other. Social media. I've noticed a growing number of psychics operating off platforms like TikTok and Twitch. I've made the decision to not call these people out at this point for the reason that they all currently have a much smaller following than mine, and I don't enjoy punching down.
Well,
I'm going to say
first of all, punching down is like cringe. The concept of that is dumb because punching down doesn't exist. But if they're not very big, it makes sense not to cover them because people might gravitate towards them. I get that part.
People is I am watching. And if you don't want to appear in one of these videos...
I swear to God, this is Mad Pat, but more Irish or something.
Before we finish, I want to address what I think is going to be a pretty common counter-argument for this video. The idea that saying all psychics are deceitful based on a couple of bad examples is like saying all restaurants are bad based on a couple of cases of food poisoning.
Well, yeah, but like the psychics, even if they think that they're psychic, doesn't mean that they actually are. Some of them might just be deluded into thinking that they're psychic and then try to profit off of it. Doesn't mean that they're fucking actually psychic, you know?
But the difference here is that poison isn't a necessity of cooking, deceit is a necessity of psychics, and that's going to be true until it's proved otherwise. I don't think all psychics are evil. I think some are just delusional. But
I see psychics in the mall, and I'm just like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Don't even look at me, because you should know I don't want to talk to you.
Either way, they're promoting the same lie and normalizing it to ordinary people, and in doing so, making them vulnerable to the kind of predatory abuse.
Irish? What did I say? Spanish? I don't know. British?
Okay. I feel like the only question left is why? Why out of all the problems in the world am I making a video about psychics?
Hey, for fun,
the truth is that this video isn't really about psychics. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
It's about liars.
What we're talking about here isn't really people who can channel aliens or bend spoons or talk to the dead. This is about how people choose what they believe in. And if your takeaway from this video is that dumb people will believe in silly things, I have failed at my job. People want to believe in things.
Well, that is part of it. Dumb people will believe in silly things. Let's be absolutely clear. Okay.
Bring them comfort. And they will, even if those things are incorrect, as long as that information is presented in the right way. Everyone is vulnerable to this. It has nothing to do with education or intelligence. What this is supposed to do is an exploit in the human.
It does have. I'm not trying to be an asshole. It does have something to do with education and intelligence. Okay, I'm not trying to be rude. That doesn't mean that like somebody who isn't educated, like somebody who's educated may still believe in this stuff, or intelligent might still believe in this stuff. But like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, it is unintelligent people who like fall for like the spiritual stuff more and more and more. If you think psychics are real, you're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry, you know, because even I, a very highly intelligent, intellectual man, I sometimes believe that maybe, you know, there's some kind of spiritual thing going on. But a fucking psychic, bro, come on.
Condition. The world is terrifying. constantly.
Those are the same woman.
We so badly need
What the
comfort from the
fuck?
chaos that is happening all around us all the time. And it's that makes us vulnerable, not just to psychics, but to any number of people willing to distort reality to their own end. We're coming out of a year that saw even the basic nature of information become so distorted and corrupted. So
yeah, and the people who believe it are dumb. Sorry. But it's kind of true. If you believe the people who believed in the misinformation the most, the people who were on fucking Instagram thinking that is an actual like reasonable, like Instagram or Facebook seeing memes and like this has to be true. Those people are fucking morons. I'm sorry, but you're uneducated. If like you fell for the, like I understand falling for like really good disinformation or misinformation, but some people were falling for like the dumbest shit, like fucking Pizzagate. You're insane. You're out of control. What's happening here? What the fuck? Why did everything just get quiet? Wait, can you even hear what I'm saying? That was weird. Hold on a second. My audio just like diarrheaed itself. Oh, I think I know what happened. Hold on a second. My audio just like went bonkers. Do. God, you're pissing me off right now. Playback.
if we can't decide on something as
Sorry.
simple as psychics, what hope do we have for everything else? Or, as Isaac Asimov wrote in the introduction to James Randi's book, that is so much truer now than it was 40 years ago, folly and fakery have always been with us, but it has never before been as dangerous as it is now. Never in history have we been able to afford it less. Oh, friends, thank you for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you got something out of it. And if you did...
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I liked it. It was fun. Here, I'll give you a like. Boom.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.